Season 95, we are back.
Yeah.
You need to keep all that in, 'cause that was funny. Weird, the Weird Al Yankovic story. Even though weird is a double, we don't say weird twice. That's not how the movie works. Caleb, Bub, there's a certain criteria when it comes to biopic movies, especially like comedy biopic movies, and by that I mean the parody of the biopic movie.
There's not many.
That's my point.
This is the only one this is the only actual
parody
biopic parody that exists, as far as I know.
You know
right?
something. It fits Weird Al. Let's put it that way. It fits Weird Al.
Well, yeah. You got to look at a Dewey Cox or a Spinal Tap or like a Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping as definite inspirations for this movie, even though those aren't based off of an actual musician. It's just like sort of parodying like known musicians without actually saying who it is. This is Weird Al, actual musician, who I've loved for a very long time. But I can tell. Loved in grade school. He was my favorite. Then I sort of like got into like actual, like, I don't want to say actual music because he does make actual music, but found other artists and stuff. But I've always had a huge appreciation of Weird Al, and it's just fitting that he would make a. Why are you looking at my shirt for? It's really not that much of a Hawaiian shirt. It's more of like a South Beach kind of, but it's all I had.
You went all out.
I had the mustache. I still had the mustache over the weekend, so I figured it would be a good time.
You went all out for this review.
Yeah, I did all this just for this review.
Did all this just for the review. That's how big of a super fan Caleb is of Weird Al.
But yeah, I did. Big fan of Weird Al, so it's just fitting that he would do a parody of his life, of the typical music biopic, which is a very stale, and I mean stale genre.
But this movie's entertaining. This movie's funny from start to finish.
It is. It's got,
so funny.
I think that's got a very high like joke to laugh ratio, and I think like the funniest parts of the movie are definitely in like the first half of the movie, because it's just like jam-packed with like these really fun and funny cameos that we didn't necessarily know about beforehand. Like all I knew was like Madonna, the character that Evan Rachel Wood as Madonna was in the movie, and she was going to play a sort of like a major character. And I knew Rainn Wilson was Dr. Demento. And if I'm not mistaken, Patton Oswalt was supposed to play Dr. Demento, but scheduling got in the way, and like Rainn Wilson had a week and a half to prepare for that.
But here's the thing though. About that. It didn't matter because he looked the part, he sounded the part. It was fine. He was fine. I liked it, and I just like Rainn Wilson, period.
It definitely didn't matter. It almost didn't matter who was playing whatever part, because they weren't trying to be accurate portrayals of,
exactly.
You know, like Daniel Radcliffe, like I thought he was great in the movie, but he's clearly not Weird Al. No, I think the movie is very funny. Some really good like running gags throughout the movie, and I think that style-wise parody, I don't want to compare it to like Airplane or like a Blazing Saddles. It does remind me more of Dewey Cox. It reminds me of like Dewey Cox, MacGruber, and Wet Hot American Summer. But here's the thing about this movie: this movie does not cuss one time.
No.
Like, and I think that's an element that says a lot about Weird Al, because he had a lot of the writing in this movie. Him and another guy. Weird Al's
director.
Even though Weird Al sings about some crazy messed up stuff sometimes, I've never heard him use like profanity in any of his music.
And I can't recall.
I mean, like I'm not saying using profanity is bad, because I love Wet Hot American Summer and Dewey Cox. I think those are some of the best.
Not a sponsor.
But this movie is really funny with being a PG-13 movie at the maximum due to violence and innuendo. Like that. Like I'd say it's unrated, but I'd say it's still PG-13.
Yeah, I'd say
because there's some blood. Like it gets a little. The movie gets wild. Like so much. I don't like the second half as much as I like the first half. But I think that could be some people's favorite stuff, that the movie does get so wild. Like, of course, the movie would go in this direction.
It feels like to me, and I'm not saying this to undercut this particular movie, but this almost feels like kind of what he wanted to make with UHF.
And I've never seen UHF.
It just feels like there's elements of UHF in this movie that is like the second half.
I know there's a Rambo stuff,
right? The Rambo,
right?
It feels like he's trying to parody those movies but make them his own, and he does kind of in this movie. And it's funny.
You know when like Evan Rachel Wood plays Madonna. She's on the poster, so it's not a big surprise. But she does become a big character in the second half.
Yeah.
And this is not a slight against her because I thought she was great, but it does become so heavy Weird Al Madonna centric. And like what made the first half so fun is that we consistently got new characters in and out.
Yeah.
But yet again,
and it's those cameos at the beginning too. It's like cameo,
well, there's one scene.
cameo,
There's one
cameo.
scene. There's a pool party at Dr. Mento's house where it has like everybody shows up in that scene, and everybody kills it. And I don't want to give away any of those cameos because they're all very funny.
No.
But yeah, it becomes super heavy on Weird Al and Madonna, which starts off really funny, and like, as all things, whenever it's just jamming jokes at you, it's almost like a musical where musicals giving you a musical number. Whenever something's giving you so many jokes, and like all of them are pretty funny, like there's not many misses. It does get I think that it does get a little tiring, and it shows in the second half. But you know, they go and it becomes like a little bit of an action movie there, towards the right before the third act hits, and I don't know, like it's all fun. But I did think that the first half was funnier.
I will agree with that, just based solely on the cameo aspects, and some of those jokes that land, and some of the setups are funnier than what's in the second half. Because I don't want to say the second half goes off the rails, because I
think it does go off, but it purposely goes off the rails.
That's what I'm saying. And that's why I don't want to use that term, off the rails. It's like, speaking of off the rails, the sign over there, I don't know why that just, anyway. I don't want to say that it goes off the rails in a negative light, so I don't want to say that term, but the movie does go completely left field of what it originally starts out as, but it still does at the same time keep what it's trying to do, and that's be a parody film.
It's still a parody film. Yeah, it reminded me of, like, you know, like in Anchorman 2, when the movie just loses its mind in like the worst way to me, whenever like Ron Burgundy and Veronica whenever he goes blind or whatever, right? And he lives like on that island alone.
Oh, okay.
It's like 30 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
So that didn't work for me. And while in this movie that stuff was my least favorite stuff, it still worked. Like if that was in a regular comedy and not that great of a comedy, like I still think that stuff was funny. But I think just compared to everything that came before and how frequently we were getting like cool cameos, and I hate to say that the movie relies on cameos, but this is just the kind of movie that it is.
Well, I wouldn't say that it relies on.
No, I don't think it does.
I mean,
the writing, it relies on like stupid writing, obviously. Like the writing is supposed to be stupid, but it's funny, you know.
Right.
It dares to be stupid.
After that joke, review's over. I'm getting out of this car.
It's hard to nitpick anything in this movie because of what it is and how.
Sure.
But as a big Weird Al fan, my favorite stuff from him has always been his original songs. I just think that.
Yeah.
I just think that they're like. And I think real hardcore Weird Al fans will tell you the same thing.
I do like the fact that this movie does touch on that as well.
It does, but then it goes the opposite. I don't want to give away what it does, but that was funny what it does with that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
which honestly becomes the focal point of the second half of the film.
Well, yeah, it becomes like sort of like his the downfall part of like a musician's career whenever they start getting like alcohol and stuff. But that's what's so funny is that Weird Al has made a career out of being noticeably like
a nice guy.
Sober and not drinking. Yeah. So it's funny to see that like Daniel Radcliffe, who's pretty ripped in this movie,
listen,
like shirtless a lot.
The funny thing is about it is that Daniel Radcliffe is doing his best not to be Weird Al Yankovic in this movie.
That's what's great. I think,
and he does a fantastic job. I think he's so good.
What makes it good is that a lot of people are just kind of, with the exception of maybe Rainn Wilson as Dr. Mento, who's a little over the top at times, but still kind of playing it straight. Most of the actors are playing it straight. But it's just the material that lends itself to make it like really. That's why I compared it to MacGruber in a sense, because MacGruber, like they're parroting like that action genre, but they're playing it straight while saying ridiculous things. But yeah, in an era, this pandemic or post-pandemic era, we haven't got a lot of like good comedies. And this is one of the better ones, if not like I'm not gonna say this is better than.
You mean to tell me that Terrifier 2 is not a good comedy?
It's got some funny parts in it. Don't get me wrong.
You mean to tell me?
Like it's not as good as like Palm Springs with Andy Samberg, but it is funnier than Palm Springs. It's just a straight up comedy. Yeah. It's funnier. I'd say that it's probably the most laughs I've had from like just a comedy since 2020. So of this decade, it's definitely one of the better. And out of this year, a pretty solid year for movies. This was like one of my Favorite.
It's one of your
It's one
favorites.
of my favorites. It's not, you know, it's
He's
still,
got them nostalgia glasses on, folks.
it's probably teetering around the top 10. You know, it's nowhere close to the.
What?
It's nowhere close to the top 3 or top 5.
I would have to think on that.
But yeah, I mean, you probably haven't seen as many movies as I have, but there hasn't been a lot of. There has not. It has not been a comedy-driven year. Not at all.
Ooh.
Not very comedy. Thor: Love and Thunder. But yeah, what would you give your score first?
Well, I gotta give my score first.
Because I'm still thinking about mine. So you want to do grade or score?
I'll do the grade. You can do the score.
Okay. Okay.
I'm used to the grades.
Right.
And then you went and changed everything because every other year you got to change something.
It's usually about every 5 years.
Every 5 years.
So
Give the movie B+. I enjoy. Yes, I there was not one particular moment in the film where I wasn't enjoying myself or thinking that it was worth the. If you were paying for the film, it would be worth the price of admission. You would have some
love
laughs.
to watch it in theaters.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. The end credits song is absolutely freaking hilarious. I'm sorry, it wraps up the film tremendously well, and it's just funny, and again it falls back onto the Weird Al original songs that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
it's funny, it's great.
It does end on a Weird Al original song, like in the credits. That is cool.
Yep.
That's another thing you got to give the movie credit for, is that it fills up every minute, including the credits.
Yep.
Whether when it's just playing like score over the credits with like funny pictures, and then whenever the credits start to roll, it has that original song that goes along with the credits.
It goes along with the credits, which is funny.
I'd give it an 8.3. So we probably give it about the same thing. Probably about a B+, right?
Sure.
Yeah, one of the more enjoyable times I've had watching a movie, and I definitely would have loved watching this in theaters. And I do hope that song does get nominated for an Oscar.
I mean, it has potential.
That's what they mentioned it in the song.
They could do it.
But that's our review for the Weird Al Yankovic story.
Yeah, watch it. It's free on Roku if you have Roku TV.
It has ads, but you know that's how they make their money. So
sure, and you know what? Honestly, we watched it without ads.
We found a way.
We found a way. It does. You can tell where it starts and stops.
Yeah. It feels like almost a TV movie.
Feels like a TV movie, and it's not. But we say TV movie, but not production-wise. It's
I
not
just
a
mean
TV
because
movie.
of those stops.
Just because of those stops. Check it out on Roku TV. It's free. Hour and 48 minutes of your life you'll enjoy. Check it out. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah. Give it a watch. Hopefully we'll be back.
Still not a sponsor.
Hopefully we'll be back next week doing a Black Panther Wakanda Forever review. Hopefully. So, yeah.
Let's get the MCU back on track.
All right.
That's our thoughts.
Thanks for watching. Hopefully we'll be back to do some more reviews and not just a
random one
for years. All right. But thank you guys.
Life happens, folks.
Thank you guys for watching.